Hi guys, this is Umair back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the most important and a bit tricky topic in Angular, that is nested reactive forms. I have been struggling working with nested reactive forms, but then after spending some time, I figured out the solution and I decided to create a video for you guys. So I have created an empty project named nested reactive form, and this is the app.module.ts, this is app.component.ts file. It has nothing. I have deleted everything by default that was written in this HTML file, and there is nothing in the app component file, just the implementing on init and ng on it function is added, and I added this on init package from this core library. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is this app is running, it has nothing because HTML contains nothing. So first of all, I need to import few form modules in my module file for working with the reactive forms. So first of all, I'm going to import form module and reactive form module, and that is from @angular/forms, and inside the curly braces I'm gonna write forms module and reactive forms module, and I'm going to add both of these modules in my imports array. Okay, and this is the only thing that we need to do in this particular file, app.module.ts. so let's save this file and I'm going to close this file. Now we need to write some code inside this component, and I'm going to show you how to add the nested reactive form. So first of all, in this particular file I need to import a few things. Make sure that in module.ts only these modules are required. We don't need to import form builder, form control, validators. It is only required in our component file. So I'm going to write import, let's write in the curly braces later on, and this is from Angular/forms, and inside the curly braces I'm gonna write, first of all, I need form builder, then I need form control, and then form group, and then form array. Okay, because form array is gonna be working with a multiple number of data that is going to be iterated through. Okay, so in my ng on init I'm going to first get the data from somewhere, and I'm going to show the data in as a reactive form. Okay, so in my app component class, first of all I need to add few variables. So first of all, let's create a variable for a base form. Okay, so I'm going to write products form, and that is of type form group. Okay, and after that let's create a function, and I'm going to name this function public create form, and inside it I need to use the instance of this form builder. So in my constructor I need to first create an instance of this form builder. So for that I need to create a constructor private fb for form builder, and I need to write form builder right here. And now I'll be using this particular variable for creating my reactive form. Okay, so in my create form I need to this dot. If you know that how to create reactive form at the single level, that is good for you for understanding this particular part. If you don't know, I'm explaining what I'm doing right now. Okay, so for creating reactive form I need to use the instance of this form builder. So fb dot I need to use group. Okay, and inside it I need to create as much variables as I want in my form. If I have a radio button, if I have text boxes, I have passwords, I have multiple number of form controls in my template, I need to create all of these in this particular group. Okay, so for explaining you guys what is nested reactive form, first I'm going to create a single level one variable reactive form and show that particular data in my template, and after that I'll come back to the nested reactive form. So first of all, let's add a single variable, single key inside this object. So let's say I can write category, and after that I need to put an array and it contains nothing at start. Okay, so this particular form builder, this group has been created. Now from ng on init, let's call create form function. Okay, and let's create another function for showing the data once any particular value is added in any control from our template. So for printing out the data of this particular form, I need to use let's say this dot products form dot value. Okay, and now from the HTML file I'm going to create a button that is going to call this function, and it is going to print all the values of this particular form. Okay, so let's save it. Now let's come back to our HTML file, and first of all let's create a div, and after that let's create a form, and form needs to know that what is the name of our form group. Okay, so in our case the name of our form group is products form. Okay, but here is a problem. We haven't assigned anything to this product form as of now. Okay, this is creating the form group, but it is returning something that needs to be stored in this particular variable. Okay, so I will write this dot products form equals to. Okay, now when this form is going to be created, it's going to store its reference in this products form. Okay, now we can copy this name of this reactive form, and I need to use a directive, and that is called form group. Okay, and this is how we spell it, form group. Okay, it is a camel case, and within the quotes I need to write the name of that reactive form. Okay, and after that let's create a submit directive and show data is the function that I created at the end. Okay, and inside this form let's create a div, and let's create a label, and after that let's create an input type for getting the data and bind the data for this particular key, the category. Okay, so this is of type text, and for binding this particular form control with this particular key, we need to use an attribute called form control name. Okay, and the name of our key is category. Okay, so let's save it and let's go to our browser. You can see that it is showing a text box and it is showing a category. If I right click and go to inspect, let's make it closer. I have zoomed in. Let's go to console. Okay, and if I write something inside it, it is going to reflect this value to the reactive forms property, this particular category. Okay, because I have set the form group as a products form. This is the reference, and after that within this form group I need to use the form control name as an attribute and give it a value of this particular key that is written inside this form group. Okay, so before going further, let's show the data in the console that whether that particular value is being shown or not. Okay, so within this form let's create an input type submit, and its value is click me, okay, whenever this button is gonna clicked, it is going to call this function, okay, and this function is going to print out all the values of this particular form. Okay, so let's go to our browser and let's click on it and let's see what is the value. If I click on it, it has an object that has a category which is empty. Let's write ABCD as a value and let's click me button again. If I click on it, you can see that the value of this category key of this particular form group has been updated, so hence proved, and we have seen that this has been bind. And this was just for explaining you guys how reactive form works. There are a lot of things that we can do as a validations for this particular form or any input control, but this is not a particular tutorial of it. Okay, this particular tutorial is for the nested reactive form, and let's create and elaborate what we can do using the nested reactive form. Let's say we have an API that is returning a particular array of objects, okay, array of all the students, array of data, and using the data we need to dynamically generate these input text boxes. We are not sure how many input text boxes are going to be generated and what are going to be the names of those text boxes. We just know that we need to get the JSON object or JavaScript array, and we need to iterate through all these objects of that particular array, and we need to dynamically create any number of any kind of input text boxes, whether it's radio, check boxes, or drop downs, or any kind of controls. Okay, I'm not gonna be using an API call for getting the data. Instead, I'm going to be creating an object directly in my component, and using the API call we need to use observables. In my last video, I'm gonna give the link of that video in description below. I explained that how to use observable with the HTTP API calls. You can check that out in the link given in the description below. Okay, so first of all, let's create an object. After this products form, I'm going to create a products, and that is an array, and it has an object. Let's say okay, so this is an object. It's going to get the brand, and Apple is a brand. Let's add another brand, and let's say Samsung is the brand. Okay, so I'm going to go with these two objects, and we can create as much object as we want. If we want to show the hundreds of input text boxes or input controls, actually not specific text boxes, it can be anything. Okay, now in my create form, I need to iterate through these products, and I need to create an array of form controls for creating the data and bind the data in my template. Okay, so in my form control, let's create a function build product. Okay, and I'm going to send out a product as it, and this is of type form group, and it is going to return the form group as this one. Okay, so the idea behind is, along with the category, there has to be a key, let's say brands, and it is going to be using this .fb .array, and it is going to take an instance of a form group, and the form group should be an array. Okay, that is a combination of multiple form groups that will be combined and will be added in this particular function. Okay, so let's create a form group, and that form group is going to return this .fb .group, and it has a title, and the title is product.title, product.brand actually, This is the title. Okay, and after that this is going to be the label of the input text box. Okay, but after the label we need to show an input, and that has to be bindable as well. And for binding that input text box we need to add another key right here. Okay, so value, and by default it will contain nothing. Now this build product function is going to return one form group, but this FB array needs to have multiple form groups. Okay, so first of all we need to call this build product function as much as there are objects. Okay, and we need to store this form group again and again in a particular array. Then that array is going to be added within this function. Okay, so let's create an array. This is an empty array, and using the loop I'm going to iterate through let's send this dot products from here, and it is going to receive products and products dot length. Okay, and inside it I need to push the form groups. So let's call build product. This is the function that I'm calling, and I need to send each product object one by one. Okay, so products I. Okay, now at the end of this iteration this array is going to take a multiple number of form groups that is being returned from this function. Now in this function I need to copy this one and paste it. Okay, I don't need to write semicolon after that because this is an object key. Okay, so now let's go to our browser and reload it and check there shouldn't be any error. So that is being working fine. It means that we don't have any error. Now we need to show a particular label and the text boxes in our template. So in our template, after that particular div I need to use another div, and inside this div I need to iterate through each element of this brands, because brand is taking an array of form groups. Okay, so inside this div first of all let's give it a name. Just like the form control name, I need to give it the form array name. Okay, we have already defined what is the form group, and we have defined form control name that was directly inside the form group. This brands array is parallel to this category. Okay, so we can directly write form array name, and this is the brands array. Okay, and I need to use ng for directive, ng for let brand of products form dot controls dot brands dot controls, and after that let's add let I equals to the index. Okay, and let's add the semicolon. So we have added this ng for loop, and if I explain you what is this, it is using this form products form as the name of this form, and it is fetching out the controls. And up till now we are at the point where this category and brands exist. We need to navigate to the further controls that has title and value. So that's why I added the controls after that, brands dot controls, and each brand is going to have a title and value as the controls. Okay, so now inside this div let's use another div And for this particular div, I need to give it a form group name, and that is going to take the index of each brand that is going to be returned from that particular form. So that is form group name equals to, within the quotes and within the curly braces, I need to write the index variable, and I can write anything inside it. This has to be as it is, and this is we can change. Okay, and inside the form group name, we can print the data, we can bind the data just like this one. Okay, so before binding the data, let's try printing the data. And using this variable, we have the brand dot get, and we have the title, and we can get the value of that particular title using this dot value property. Okay, so let's save it. Let's go to our browser, and you can see that it is printing out Apple, Samsung. Okay, so it is working fine. We are iterating through each brand, and it is printing out the label right here. Okay, so let's try adding another brand, and I'm going to give it a Nokia and see if another label is getting printed or not. Okay, you can see that the Apple, Samsung, Nokia is being printed. I want to give it some margin left 20 pixels. Okay, so it should be aligned towards right side and should not be parallel to this category. Okay, and once this label has been printed, I need to input type text, and after that we need to use form control name as the value. Okay, we can write here value. All right, let's go to our browser, and we have these text boxes shown up. Okay, so let's add cat1 as the category, and this is the iPhone 6, this is the S8, and this is the Nokia 3. Okay, if I click on click me, you can see that the category is bind with the particular value that was added. Let's open up the brands if that is bind or not. So you can see that the first one, second one, and the third one, Apple, and whatever I wrote the value inside my Apple text box, it has been bind right here. Okay, so this is how we can get the data, and this is how we are printing out as much variables, as much input controls in our template. That can be a boolean type. Right now I just created this thing as a string. Okay, it can be boolean, it can be a drop down, and we can add the validations. You can check out how to validate reactive forms from the documentations. That is really helpful for you guys. And just like this, we can create a multiple nested forms, like here, like if we have this brand can have multiple arrays, and we can create a array right here along with the brand right here, and that can go any number of levels. Okay, so that's it for you guys. I hope that you have learned something new today, and this is going to be helpful for you in various applications that require API calls that return data, and based on that data we need to show in our template. So make sure to subscribe my channel and like this video, and comment below if you have any question. And again, if you want to learn advanced level JavaScript, TypeScript, or jQuery courses, I have given the link of our Udemy courses. You can get those courses and learn much more things for increasing your knowledge. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.